financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is Chapter 13, Save Your Home, Eliminate Your Tax Debt and Credit Card Debt. Jeffrey Linden, good to see you.
Good
Tax
morning,
man.
Ken. Happy to be here.
Background music is the tax man. Brian Small, background music is the bankruptcy man.
I could hear the song, the
Joe
tax man.
Frizard, how are you? Background music is estate planning, elder law planning. What's the favorite song for elder law? You guys need a song.
I gotta think of one.
We got the tax man for Jeffrey Linden.
It's probably some
Do you have a
big band
background song?
God help me, no. First of all,
Homework for the show. Everybody has to come up with a background song.
I'm not even allowed to sing karaoke, okay?
I didn't
So-
ask you to sing.
No one in the history of ever has asked me to sing.
Well, we're on the same plane there. Okay. Brad and Janice. We're going to do Chapter 13 by way of example. Brad and Janice, mid-50s. Brad's an electrical contractor, is making $150 a year. Janice, she's a real estate agent, $75,000 a year. They're both self-employed. Here's their assets and their finances. House, $450,000 market value. Leverage, $350,000 mortgage. First mortgage. Home equity line, $70,000. Today's times, things are still going well for Brad. He's busy. But Janice is seeing a downturn in sales, so her income's going to slump. They're self-employed. They have some tax issues, living a little bit too high, even though their income was well. So they didn't make those estimated payments, and then they fell behind in their taxes. 2017, 18, and 19, $40,000, $35,000, and $25,000. The good thing, they got $350,000 in IRAs. They've been putting money away for a long period of time.
I just want to comment about that self-employed concept. If you are self-employed, you can borrow from your aunt, you can borrow from your cousin, your mother, your father, your brother. Do not borrow from your Uncle Sam. It is not a good thing to do. If you're thinking about starting a business and you need to start off on the right foot, pay your quarterlies on time. That should be your priority.
Unless it was my Uncle Sam, who was a cute little bald guy.
I was gonna raise two issues there with what you said. Now, would you cover the first one? What if you really have an Uncle Sam? You can't borrow the money from
No,
him?
you probably shouldn't. Let's just avoid that.
So you got to go to Uncle Henry instead.
Yes.
Right. The other one is, you're 100% right on estimates, but what we see all the time, and you see it all the time, is if you're going to fall into a tax problem, the greater likelihood of the person that happens to is the self-employed, because if the money's being taken out of your paycheck and a W-2 withholding, it goes to the government. It's out of your control.
Although I tell you, I see a lot of people that come in to see me that I look at their pay stub and they said, I went exempt. Like when? In
They shouldn't be doing
2020. Yeah,
right.
you know, like 3 years ago.
They claim 9 exemptions when they have one kid.
No, now you just can claim exempt. You don't even have to do that. You claim exempt and they don't take any federal taxes out. It's crazy.
Not a good thing.
No, it's a terrible thing.
It's a bad thing. It's just a bad thing. We'll get to why.
You know, on the same topic, it's a little bit off the topic. You know, people still like to work, quote unquote, for cash. You know, that's the self-employed person who doesn't report their income.
Yeah.
They think it's such a great thing. Some of them insist on it.
It's short-sighted.
Social Security means you have nothing to retire from. And how sure are we that when clients come into us and they're in their 60s and 70s, the need and how much they're relying on that Social Security payment as really the mainstay of their retirement income. People who pay cash, who work for cash their whole lives, don't even have Social Security to retire with. That's fatal.
Well, and they don't even have retirement accounts either. Right. Joe, I mean, are you seeing people that have been self-employed, do you see them having large retirement accounts to support themselves?
It could be people who made six figures their whole life, and then at the end of their life, they got just that Social Security. And it barely covers the taxes on the house they have. A lot of other people, it's only because they paid off their mortgage and they have their Social Security, but there's no other income there. So
3-point retirement plan. Own your home free and clear. 0 debt, some cash in the bank. Key concepts. Very simple. If you do those 3 things, you retire, you're guaranteed sufficient cash flow for your life, including modest vacations, presents for your grandchildren. 0 debt, no mortgage, no car payments. The only thing you got to pay are your taxes on your home, utilities, food,
maintenance, things
insurance,
like that.
Maintenance.
Yeah.
It's easy
God, that
if you
sounds so
get there.
smart.
Oh, no.
I'm just saying, it sounds smart. The problem is that by the time you start to think about it in your 60s, you're too late. You got to be thinking about this
at least in your 40s and 50s.
And if you are 20 and watching this show, start thinking about it now.
I mean, I look at it this way: if you've got 15 years, you got plenty of time. Because all you got to do, even if you have a 30-year mortgage, just re-amortize it so that you know what the payment is on 15 years. Go to an amortization chart and start making that payment, and that becomes your minimum payment. And then what you do is, if you have any extra cash flow, you add to that. And if you do that, you can pay off the house in about 11 years, if you commit to it. You get rid of the house. You should have already gotten rid of the credit card. You want to get rid of the credit card debt? Listen to this show and this guy, and you will get rid of the credit card debt, and that takes care of the problem. You do those 2 things, you'll have cash flow to start saving money. So it can be done. So they've got $350,000 in IRAs. They've got this tax problem. We come back from the break. Explain to me what they do.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP.
I was married for 57 years before my husband died.
Simasco Law had established a trust for them before this happened.
There's so much to do in the beginning, but after about a month, you're kind of alone.
We deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
If you continue to have good support and know that your finances and your estate is in order, that's one thing that's so comforting. I would just highly recommend some Masco Law.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV Gross today, 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, we're back. I have a bonus for Brad and Janice that I forgot to tell you about.
Fantastic.
In addition to their tax debt, they have $150,000 of credit card debt as well.
Typical.
So I just want to
I mean,
throw that into the
$150,000 worth of credit card debt is not typical, but
But not uncommon.
But for a Brad and Janice situation that walks in our door with $100,000 worth of credit card debt, worth of tax debt, usually they have at least $50,000 to $100,000 worth of credit card debt on top of it.
Well, would you say that $150,000 of credit card debt is unheard of?
No, it's actually starting to be more normal. Yeah. But normal when I started this, 30 years ago, people would walk in with $10,000 worth of credit card debt. Now people are walking in with 50, 60, 80, 100,000 every single day.
I mean, I want to say this too, particularly with debt resolution, which we talk about on other shows where we have high income earners that don't qualify for bankruptcy. We've settled massive amounts of credit card debt for lawyers, CPAs, insurance agents, doctors,
hey,
high income earning people that got into the credit card debt. They come in, nobody knows, but we have a way of getting rid of that credit card debt with debt resolution, and they are the happiest people in the world. And those people, when they do it, not one of them that I know have ever fallen back into the credit card trap.
And did you notice the people that you went to, what the common theme is? Most of them are self-employed.
Yes.
Yep, that's the key. And there's an awful lot of people out there fighting for the American dream, and they are self-employed. The problem is they make budgetary mistakes. They want to live higher on the hog, so to speak, than they can afford, and that's where it comes from.
It's a difficult country. I mean, you have unlimited opportunities to spend money and enjoy yourself and gratify yourself. And the temptation to do that is always out there. And if you're earning decent income, just like you said, I think in the last show that we talked about, the availability of credit is out there. So they give you the credit, and it's easy to use. And then you start doing that. And then what happens is you've got these massive minimum payments. So you start making those payments, and you don't even have the money to pay your taxes when you're self-employed. So you end up with tax debt and the credit card debt. But don't forget, you did have a lot of toys.
Well,
and you went on a lot of great vacations.
I'll tell you want to know what.
But there's a price that you pay.
And there's going to be a price that's about to be paid. The next big crisis is going to be student loans are going to come due in September of this year. People will have to start paying on them again. I read that will take $40 billion out of the economy.
There's an if there, and there's a but.
If?
The if is if they do pay, and the but is what happens if they don't.
Well, that's just more trauma.
I mean, if you said to me, because we were watching the same issue, and it said they're not going to pay. Some will pay, but many will not because they don't have the money. You can't pay if you don't have the money, and Congress seems to ignore that fact. I understand the issues on forgiveness of student debt are very easy for all of us to understand. I paid my student debt.
Paid mine.
I paid for my kids' college and they paid for their college. And I borrowed some money to cover their college.
And you paid it.
And I paid it. So there's a side of me saying, if I paid, why should Why should
it's
Bill not pay?
It's not fair argument.
Yeah, that's
Right.
There's a lot of it's not fair
Yeah.
out there. That doesn't change the fact that
I understand the sentiment. I don't agree with it. You have to deal with the
But there's
I don't really like the forgiveness idea. I think you modify the Chapter 13 rules. And you make it more painful to get rid of your
that's where
debt.
I'm going. There's an opportunity in bankruptcy that didn't even exist 6 months ago, and we're starting to see it flesh out. Student loans for a certain group of individuals, and you got to really, it's
Drill
still
down.
hard to qualify, but in student loans you have an opportunity now to potentially discharge them in bankruptcy.
What's the basic? Can you give me the simple rule?
So the simple rule is it's an agreement, a workout with the Department of Justice. It's actually, you file a lawsuit inside the bankruptcy and it gets settled if you meet certain qualifying standards. And we're starting to see income and ability to pay, etc. But
So that might be the outcome of this whole process, because who knows what Congress is going to do with it, but who knows what the Supreme Court's going to do with it. I happen to think that it seems to me a simple Supreme Court constitutional law type of analysis or everything. If Congress is the one that adopted the law that made student debt non-dischargeable, you would think Congress would be the one that would have to change it, not the executive branch.
Right.
And to me, that in my mind, I would be surprised if the Supreme Court comes out in favor of the administration.
That's why this program that's available isn't really based on the law. It's based on agreement with the Department of Justice. Because the law is still what we call the Brunner test, and the Brunner test is absolutely darn near impossible to
So
get
is
through.
the Department of Justice just on federally backed student loans?
Yeah,
Okay.
just
Well,
on
the
federal.
big problem are on the private ones. It's
Right.
it's the teaser interest rates
Right, because-
that people take for the student loans because they think they're such great deals. And their interest rate's lower than the federal, but they're non-dischargeable.
Remember,
and they just give them the money.
federally backed student loans have all sorts of programs, the income-based repayment programs, where you can set up to pay as little as nothing every month, so to speak, and that allows you to control your student loans. Private student loans, pay, die. Those are the two options.
And the same thing, Department of Justice doesn't apply to that. That's where I say you modify the bankruptcy laws. You allow that tax debt, that non-dischargeable student loan debt to be dischargeable, but you create different standards, not just your straight Chapter 13. Maybe it's a payout over 8 years rather than 7. We'll take a break. We're going to come back and solve Brad and Janice's problem.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP.
Time for announcements. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. Just call 888-235-HELP or go online and sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business issues, elder law issues with Pat, disability issues with Jeff. Sign up at lawandreality.com or call 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-4357. Also, go online to our website to get our free reports. Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions. Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me? How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure. Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan. And The Retiree's Guide to Social Security. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Simasko Law, Kirschner Law. Now back to the show.
Pat was recommended by a friend who insisted that we really needed a trust. And he said, I know somebody who will do a good job for you.
At Simasko Law, we deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
We had excellent service from Simasko Law. Any questions we had were addressed. Our estate is in order and it had been set up so well that nothing needed to be done. I would just highly recommend Simasko Law.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, we're back. Before we get to the thing, I want to correct that. The normal Chapter 13, Brian, is 5 years,
Well,
right?
3 to 5 years,
Yeah,
but
what
5
I'm
years
saying,
is the
What I'm
longest.
saying is take the student debt and let that be dischargeable, but stretch it out. Make it 7 years, something like that. Create some different standards.
It's a
But
great idea.
Different show.
I'll run it by Congress.
All right, you do that. Let me know how. Don't just run it by. Get it done or don't bother with it. I'm tired of talk. I can't stand talk. I want action.
Okay, well, you might have to wait a few more years till we have the same party in all three spots.
What about Brad and Janice? What about the tax situation here and the $100,000?
So their tax situation, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but they're not going to be eligible for an offer in compromise because they have
There's too much equity.
too much
Wait.
equity.
What is an offer in compromise?
The offer in compromise is one of the components of the Fresh Start program where the IRS will allow you to get a fresh start, sort of reboot, become a good tax-paying citizen.
What does it do?
It allows you to settle or resolve existing tax debt on the promise that you're going to file on time and pay on time from that point in the future. So it's a way of resolving.
So if you
past
owe
debt.
$100,000 of tax debt, how much do you have to pay?
Depends on the circumstance, but if you get an offer in compromise, you could potentially pay $100.
Because the thing on the offer in compromise, it's based upon your income and what assets you have. It doesn't have anything to do with how much debt you owe,
No,
right?
you could owe $1 million, you could owe $10,000 and still get the same offer. It's based on your individual financial situation.
But it won't work here because
No,
why?
because they have $350,000 in their IRA.
Right.
But a Chapter 13 will work, and we can pay what they can afford. So if they have if we look at their budget and we say after,
Don't forget about the $150,000 of credit
I
card
don't care
debt.
about the $150,000 for the credit card debt. I'm going to look at their budget and I'm going to see what they can afford. And if they can afford, after their household expenses, they have $500 left over a month, okay? They qualify for Chapter 13. They're going to pay $500 for 60 months. That's $30,000. That $30,000 is going to cover every penny that they owe to the IRS, every penny that they owe to the credit cards.
Oh,
It's gonna-
okay. So you're getting rid of both things.
It's going to cover
I
their,
thought you were just getting rid of the tax debt.
No,
and you were going to
it's-
leave me with $150,000 of credit card debt, and I was going to say I got to
No.
find someone else to help me.
No, it's going to pay all their attorney's fees. It's
Then you
gonna
do
take
care
of
about the
everything.
credit card debt.
I don't care about the credit card debt because I'm going to make sure they get nothing.
You don't care about it because you know you're going to get rid of it.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
You scared me there. I thought we were going to get stuck with the credit card debt.
Chapter 13 is based on your ability to pay, what you can afford after you live, eat, sleep, breathe. Okay.
so
what's left over?
So we're going to get rid of the tax debt completely?
Completely. We're going to get rid of the credit card debt completely.
How long is it going to take?
This case, because Brad and Janice are what we call above median earners, it's going to take 60 months, 5 years.
Not a bad deal, but you get rid of all that debt.
They're getting rid of $250,000 worth of debt for $30,000.
Can you do anything about
Over
the second?
5 years.
Can you do anything about the second mortgage on the house?
So if the house was worth less than what they owed on the first mortgage, I could get rid of it.
In this case, the house is
no.
worth $450.
Yeah,
and
in this
they only
situation, we
owe-
can't
They
do
owe
it.
$350 on the first mortgage.
We can't do anything about the second mortgage because lien stripping is what that's called. It was available after the financial crisis when housing values had dropped. And if housing values drop again, we'll be back in that.
If I
ability to
told
do
you
so.
Brad just on an impulse decided to buy a Maserati and he's got a $1,500 a month car payment,
Yeah,
can
Brad
he-
would not be keeping his Maserati.
he doesn't want it.
Good, it goes 185. I understand. So
So he can get out from under that?
he can, yes.
And if they bought a yacht, can they get out of that?
They can get rid of all of the expenses.
What's the expression you always tell me about boats?
Oh, boats. The definition of a boat: a hole in the water you throw money into. What does boat stand for? Bust out another 1,000. And
There's another one. What's the 2 greatest days in a boat owner's life?
the day they buy the boat
and
and the day they sell the boat.
Right. Okay.
So, but overall, this situation is not uncommon. And if you're sitting there with credit card debt and tax debt and you're a homeowner and you're afraid that you're going to lose your house, call us because
Absolutely.
I can keep you in your
I'll
house
call
and
you,
get rid of the
but
debt.
I gotta go because I got an appointment on my boat. Have a great week. We'll be back next week.